And looking at bitterly cold temperatures as you're stepping out the door, we're in the teens. I'll show you what it feels like with the wind chill and why we could see this all week.
With that in mind, Elizabeth, looking out for icy spots. Some parts of our area are still dealing with slick roads after that winter storm over the weekend. What to watch out for before you head out this morning. We're also following breaking news. Hundreds of customers are waking up in the dark in Durham as a live look at crews work to restore that electricity. The time lapse for those repairs. WRAL News at 8 on Fox 50 starts in less than 30 seconds.
At Leith Honda in Raleigh and Auto Park Honda in Cary, we make your buying process easy. And with every new car purchase, you'll enjoy complimentary oil changes and exceptional service. It's no wonder we've earned so many 5-star reviews. You'll also get peace of mind pricing with every used vehicle, and if it's not the perfect fit, no problem. Bring it back within 3 days for an easy exchange. Visit our showroom at Auto Park Honda in Cary or Leith Honda in Raleigh. It's easier here.
Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
It's 8 a.m. on your Tuesday morning here on Fox 50. The temperatures are downright disrespectful. I'm Laura Levine. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Ken Smith. That's exactly the best way to put that. And for more information on that, let's get over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center tracking these cold temperatures.
I mean, this tells it all. We have a cold weather advisory, something that we don't see very often, maybe just a few times per winter. And that's what we have going on this morning. Of course, with the colder temperatures, it means we have refreezing on the roads. The weather advisory up until 10 a.m. We're still in the teens until then. And then we'll answer some questions, hopefully, about what we could see over the weekend with a chance of another winter storm. It's a medium impact drive. There are a lot of roads that are clear, but of course, there are some icy patches you need to be aware of, and our team will help walk you through that. Once we get to lunchtime, temperatures climb above freezing. That sunshine will help to melt even more of the ice that's out there. But in the meantime, it's really cold. The wind chill is in the white box on the right. It feels like 8 in Roxborough and South Hill. It feels like 9 in Rocky Mount. And it feels like teens everywhere else currently. It's pretty out there. This is a live look at Sanford, but you can see a little ice on the edge of the roads. So be on the lookout for anything that may be covering the road. 15 is our temperature. Unfortunately, our wind is calm right now, but we'll go over the wind chill for the rest of the day coming up. We're still 30 degrees at lunchtime. We'll see highs in the upper 30s. We'll talk about some scenarios that could bring us some wintry weather over the weekend. Coming up, Ken.
Well, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. Look, all our major routes like I-40, I-87, all those major routes look really good. It's those secondary roads, some of them, and maybe some neighborhood roads that really we're seeing some icy patches this morning. So that's why we have the WRAL Storm Tracker out this morning. Let's check in with Kelsey Coffin, photographer, Mark Alexic. You've been in some neighborhoods off Six Forks Road. What are you seeing right now?
Ken, so we decided to check out some neighborhoods too off of Falls of Neuse Road, and this is what we're seeing here on Pemberton Road. So check it out. Icy conditions here. That's what we've been explaining to everyone all morning, is that the real concern here is going to be secondary roads, neighborhood roads, sidewalks, and parking lots. That's the likely spots that you'll be seeing any icy conditions. So you want to just make sure that you give yourself some extra time if you're headed out the door this morning, just in case you run into some ice that could impact your speed as you're out on your morning drive. So, Ken, what else can you tell folks before they get their day started? Yeah,
also be mindful of your stairs this morning. I tell you what, when I left my house this morning, our stairs, just a sheet of ice, so be mindful of that. Really and truly, all the major routes are delay-free at this hour coming into the Raleigh-Wake County area from I-40 eastbound, westbound coming in from Garner-Johnston County. You're listening to us on the radio and you're on I-87 southbound. It's just completely delay-free in this hour. You're getting ready to head into the car, though. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Okay, Ken, thank you. We're following breaking news this morning where hundreds of customers are without power in southeast Durham this morning. That's according to Duke Energy. WRAL's Ali Katlabar is there at the scene. And Ali, I know that you've been speaking to crews out there. How are the restoration efforts at this time?
Well, Laura, within the past 15 minutes, we've seen another Duke Energy crew show up and some traffic control crews as well, probably most likely getting ready to shut down Ellis Road here so that they can make repairs. Now, I want to show you, they walked me through kind of what the issue is here, and we can see they said that the insulator broke, and it looks like it snapped in half, and then a utility line came down with it on top of that street light there, and it is resting there right now. Now, more than 600 people, closer to 700 people are without power. 700 customers are without power right here in this area, in this patch of southeast Durham. And we can see, hopefully, they're bundled up in these extremely cold temperatures. Some of their driveways are also iced over, so hopefully they're bundled up, staying warm. We know estimated restoration time is expected to be at noon. Of course, we are keeping you updated throughout the morning right here in Durham. Reporting live in Durham, Ali Caldwell, WRAL News.
Well, a majority of the school districts all across our area are switching to remote learning today. You can see them shaded in green here on this map. We should know that Mecklenburg County, Virginia, and Wilson County schools are closed today. WRAL's Heidi Kirk live in Raleigh to show us the reason behind those decisions. Heidi, these schools are making the right decision.
Ken, they definitely are. We've been standing out here all morning long, and take a look at what some of the sidewalks look like. I mean, this is just pure ice. We've been very careful as we've been out here this morning. And as you've been mentioning all morning long, that's also what some of the secondary roads look like. So Wake County schools are definitely making the right call. Now, when it comes to what a remote learning day looks like in Wake County, students won't necessarily be tuning in to a Zoom call or a Teams call like they did in the pandemic. Instead, they're working out of packets at home, doing that work online or other modes of getting that work done. Now, teachers will mark down attendance based on the work that they will complete, but there's definitely mixed opinions about that. We talked to parents yesterday who said somewhat they wish that their kids could be back in school. Their preference is for them to be in the classroom, but at the same time, for some of those parents that may live in a more remote area out in Wake County, they are definitely grateful that the district is taking precautions. Now, of course, the big question is, when will students be back in the classroom? And at this point, we don't know the answer to that question. Wake County district leaders will be, of course, assessing those secondary roads, the sidewalks like this, and making a call for the days to come. And of course, we'll keep you posted as soon as we learn what their decision may be. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Heidi, thank you. And with that in mind, we have been keeping an eye on the conditions of the roads all over the viewing area. Some parts of Durham dealt with slick conditions yesterday, including this part of I-85, where a truck jackknifed. The sunlight did help melt a lot of that snow and ice, but areas that don't get a lot of sunlight could still be dangerous today.
We're also checking for you how roads are looking in Johnston County. State DOT crew says they've been used 130 gallons of brine before and during the storm. They laid down another 600 tons of salt as the ice storm moved in. Now, crews say that qualifying interstates and highways are safe and clear, but first responders are still urging caution and asking people to look out for possible icy patches this morning.
The North Carolina National Guard is adding more resources around the state to help with the winter weather response. 454 troops and more than 180 vehicles are deployed statewide. They're helping clear roads and move some stuck trucks and cars. It will keep assisting with the response until the concern is gone completely.
You can count on WRAL to update you on all these conditions, closures, and how low temperatures will fall. Stay connected with us on air, online, and with the WRAL News app anytime. But make sure you turn on those notifications to get important alerts sent directly to your phone.
New developments now in Minnesota. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino and some of his agents are expected to leave Minneapolis today. And Border Czar Tom Hammond is now expected to head to Minnesota. Now, Bovino has become a prominent figure in Homeland Security's immigration crackdown. He has recently drawn scrutiny after 2 deadly shootings involving federal agents, most recently involving Alex Preddy. Homeland Security says Preddy approached officers with a handgun as they were conducting an operation. They say the shooting was in self-defense. There are people who dispute that claim because footage shows Preddy with a phone in his hand as agents wrestled him to the ground. Video appears to show a gun being removed from his waistband before the shooting happened. Preddy was a licensed gun owner as well.
Time is 8:09 this morning in the WRAL Live Center. You know, we've been keeping our eye on the Buddhist monks on their walk for peace. This is a video from them maybe 40 or so minutes ago as they were headed to Warrington this morning. We've been watching as they've been headed on their journey to Washington, D.C., and they've still got about 200 more miles to go, so we're going to be watching very closely to see where they're going to be headed there. And in total, we're talking about a 2,300-mile journey. Just want to show you one other thing, just this image right here. And our assignment desk, she wanted me to point that out, too, just because you can just see the conditions and the roads where they were walking look so cold, right, on their day 94. This is what they're dealing with, but they still have a ways to go before they go to Washington, D.C.
Chris, thank you. Also happening today, a local nonprofit is expected to break ground on a new affordable housing community in Raleigh. This community is called Forward Together and is being built by Healing Transitions. Now, the goal is to create 17 new units on the organization's women's campus. It will be for those who complete recovery programs and are already rebuilding their lives. We have more news just ahead now. Your time is 8:10. A grieving widow speaks.
He was so reliable. And he was an excellent father.
We speak with the wife of a man who was shot and killed by a Johnston County deputy. Why she says her husband's mental health crisis was poorly handled.
And our temperatures are in the teens as you're heading out the door, and it'll be a slow warm up today. We don't even hit freezing by lunchtime, but we do climb into the upper 30s this afternoon. I'll show you why this cold pattern will stay with us into the weekend. 8:13, we start with a live look at Chapel Hill. And typically by this point, we're seeing a lot of people walking around. I don't see anybody out there. It is cold. And you can also see sort of on the shady side of the street, actually both sides of the street, there's still some ice there. Be on the lookout just for some patches this morning because it's so cold. 16 in Lewisburg, 18 in Tarboro, 19 in Fayetteville, 17 in Rocky Mount, Wilson, and Irwin. If your dog has a sweater, you may want to put a sweater on the dog, of course, on yourself as well. 12 at noon, we're looking at a temperature of only 30 degrees. We do climb into the upper 30s for this afternoon. Coming up, it looks like some of the elements could come together for more wintry weather over the weekend. We'll check that out coming up. Ken?
Well, Elizabeth, happening down at the WRAL Traffic Center. 3 takeaways, particularly for those of you getting ready to head out. Yeah, all the major routes like the I-40s, the I-87s of the Triangle, all looking in good shape this morning. But you got to watch out for some icy patches on some roads, particularly those neighborhood roads, and be extra careful on those elevated surfaces. And by all means, leave the house a little sooner than usual, just to give yourself plenty of time to get to your destination. We'll be monitoring road conditions coming up in less than 10 minutes.
Ken, thank you. This morning, we are learning new details about what led to a dramatic standoff in the middle of the winter weather that we saw here. Garner police from this scene telling us when officers arrived at Ulta Crest Lane, they saw Nathan Tharp drive his car into a woman. As the officers tried to help her, they say Tharp tried to run her over again. Garner police say officers then shot at the car to try to stop Tharp, and he wasn't hurt. Police say he then drove his car into a home and barricaded himself inside. The homeowners were there and had to flee for safety. Now, Tharp eventually surrendered several hours later. He's now facing a long list of charges, including assault on an officer and assault with a deadly weapon. Well, staying in Garner now this morning, a woman whose husband was shot and killed by a Johnston County deputy this weekend, now speaking out with WRAL about what happened. She says, and she is accusing deputies of mishandling his mental health crisis. This all happened Sunday morning at a home on Madden Rose Loop. Dorleen Richards says she called 911 to report that her husband Antony, that is, Richardson, was experiencing a PTSD episode and that he was armed. The sheriff's office says that deputies told Anthony multiple times to drop the gun, and Richardson says that is when she and deputies began to shoot.
He was so reliable, and he was an excellent father. He needed some help. I never thought in a million years that me calling them and then 10 minutes, he'll be dead.
She says her husband struggled with PTSD throughout her 21-year marriage. Sheriff Steve Bizzell tells WRAL his deputies have crisis intervention training so they know how to respond to people experiencing mental health emergencies. The SBI is now investigating the shooting, and the deputies involved are on administrative leave.
We're trying to learn new information this morning about a head-on crash in Smithfield, staying in Johnston County, by the way. This happened yesterday evening just north of Hospital Road. It was a two-vehicle crash, and we know at least one victim was pinned in the car with serious injuries. It took about 30 minutes for rescuers to get that person out of the car. Now, Smithfield Police is investigating the crash, and we're trying to learn more information about the condition of all the people involved. Jury deliberations in the Isaiah Ross trial have been pushed back due to the weekend winter storm, so court is shut down today for a second day in a row. Jurors will return tomorrow, where they will decide two things. The first is whether Ross is responsible for killing Lyric Woods. They will also decide if they support Ross's claim of killing Devin Clark in self-defense. The jury has the option of finding him guilty of first or second-degree murder or voluntary manslaughter. You can count on WRAL to bring you updates when the trial resumes tomorrow.
North Carolina Attorney General Jeff Jackson is now joining a large group calling for new restrictions on AI software. 35 attorneys general sent a letter to XAI, a company affiliated with the social media platform X. They want an AI chatbot to stop making sexually explicit images. The system takes commands from people, and some people are exploiting the software to make sexually graphic pictures of people without their consent. The attorneys general want the software to lose the ability to create the pictures.
Well, the stretch of cold could be the longest lasting one since 2018. Meteorologist Chris Michaels is here now to show us the two global patterns that are leaving us shivering for days, Chris.
Definitely, yeah, already started this morning with that, right? So, of course, it's winter, it's January, and you expect it to be cold. But yes, this is going to be a long-lasting period of cold due to two different things, one of which is a pattern in the North Atlantic. The other is one that's in the Pacific Northwest or the Pacific North American oscillation. So this is a lot of verbiage and terminology, but we'll try and make it make sense for you. The North Atlantic pattern has to do with a feature in Iceland and also near the Azores Islands. When it's in a positive phase, the cold air stays north. When it's in a negative phase, the cold air comes south. That Pacific North American pattern is the opposite. When that's in a positive phase, the cold air actually comes into the eastern U.S. When it's in a negative phase, the opposite happens. So all that's to say, both of these patterns are in such a phase that they allow the cold air to stay locked into the eastern U.S. And so any storm that develops at least has that to play with. And we've seen that play out the past 2 weekends and potentially a third weekend in a row. It's not just us saying that. NOAA's Climate Prediction Center has the eastern half of North Carolina outlined with the possibility for some snow. Elizabeth, that's days away, so numbers aren't going to be on a map anytime soon, but it's worth watching with how cold it is out there right now.
It really is. We definitely have some of the ingredients that look like they could come together for more wintry weather over the weekend. And we'll talk about some of the ingredients and the scenarios that we could see. We're going to start first with the big picture. It's quiet. We're going to see clear skies, and that'll be true all the way up until late Friday. We're going to get several bands of cold air that come in, several shots of colder air, and of course, closer to the surface, we have winds that rotate around these high pressure systems and help to push the cold air in. So it stays cold because, again, of what high pressure system that's going to be just to our west. Cold air in place. If we end up with a low developing, that would push moisture in on top of it, and that's a good setup for snow for us. We typically don't see it with moisture in place and cold air coming second. We have to have the cold air in place first and then the moisture moving into it. And that looks like the setup that we could see over the weekend. So models are showing a potential system, but we don't know how much yet. Now, why not? The models are putting out some numbers. Well, think about it. This time last week, the models were showing a lot of snow for the weekend. But as we got closer, once the storm formed, the models were able to sample it more accurately and give us a more accurate picture of where the low would end up and what kind of precipitation we would see. And as we all know, it was not inches and inches of snow. So we'll continue to have new details in the coming days, but these are the scenarios that we're watching for. If it stays well offshore, it'll take all the precipitation with it and we won't see any at all. For our part of North Carolina, right along the coast gives us the optimum chance for snow. If it's too far inland, it'll bring too much warmth in and we get more of a wintry mix like we saw over the weekend where we had a lot of sleet and some freezing rain. The temperatures will be cold enough like last weekend. We have a good chance of below average temperatures all the way through the next 10 days. As we're tracking wintry weather, we have a forecast timeline. At 5 to 7 days out, we're looking for trends. We've identified the patterns, and now we're seeing, is the model continuing to show this day after day? The answer to that question is yes. So soon we'll start talking about timing and precipitation types. We had a lot of fun sledding around here. We saw the same thing across parts of North Carolina, including Charlotte. So we love this photo. Look at this. I mean, it looks like they got a lot of snow there, and the kids are definitely out yesterday enjoying it. And again, we may see a repeat for this coming weekend. Let's jump on back out and talk about how you can follow along. If you're not at your television, download our WRAL weather app so you can look at it on the go. We'll have videos explaining what's happening, text and graphics to go along with it, so you'll know what to expect. We're definitely going to expect cold temperatures over the weekend. It looks cold enough, and we're watching that potential for precipitation. Ken?
Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We're starting that southern loop of the Beltline and give you a live look at I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. These are the westbound lanes moving away from us this morning. For you drivers on the eastbound side, watch for that sun glare delay. And right now, that's indicative of what we're seeing on all of our major routes, really in good shape. So we're not seeing any delays whatsoever in any of the routes on I-40 westbound, depending on where you're coming from this morning. Of course, all those other major routes relatively delay-free. This crash just happened just off the Beltline. I'll give you in a second. I'll let you know if that's going to affect your morning commute moving forward.
Okay, Ken, thank you. Staying prepared, a Charlotte couple welcomed a new addition to their family during this weekend's ice storm. The lengths they went to make sure they made it to the hospital safely.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. The time is 8:26. I'm Laura Levine. Let's get right over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner on this chilly, cold day. Elizabeth.
Lots of sunshine, but boy, our temperatures are cold. Down in the teens for most of us this morning. I'm starting with a live look at Apex down Salem Street. Even the sidewalks on the sunny side of the street are clear, but over on the other side in the shade, you can see at least on the sidewalks just a little bit of lingering ice. It is 15 degrees in the Triangle. Fortunately, the wind is calm at the moment, but we've had a wind chill on and off in the single digits. Our temperature at lunchtime is still 30 degrees, but we climb into the upper 30s this afternoon, and some sunshine will help the melting process. Ken?
All right, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We'll give you a live look at that northern loop of the Beltline I-40 and Ridge Road. Traffic flowing nicely in both directions, and you can see a lot of pavement, and that's what we're seeing on all of our major routes this morning, so that's really good news. As we widen out the loop, show you the entire section of the northern loop of the Beltline from the I-87 440 split all the way over to Wade Avenue, delay-free at this hour. Coming up, we take a look at some other road conditions around the Triangle.
Okay, Ken, thank you. Well, the North Carolina National Guard is adding more resources around the state to help with winter weather response. 454 troops and more than 180 vehicles are deployed statewide. They're helping clear roads and move stuck cars. This will keep assisting until the concern is completely gone. The cruise that is, and happening today. The majority of the school districts across our area are remote learning because of the icy conditions. You can see them shaded in green on this map. Mecklenburg County, Virginia, and Wilson County schools will be closed. And next on Fox 50, how one family's birthing plans change because of this weekend's winter weather. And coming up today, we will continue celebrating 30 years of Al Roker.
And we're looking at very cold temperatures in the teens as you're heading out the door. I'll show you when temperatures climb above freezing and why it's going to stay cold all week.
And we are staying on top of road conditions to help you plan safely. You're taking a live look from the WRAL Storm Tracker off Tryon Road in Raleigh, where you could see some slick, icy spots just like this still hanging around.
Also, hundreds of customers are without heat and electricity this morning in Durham. You're looking right now live at the crews working to get that power restored, the timeline for those repairs. So glad you're with us here at 8:30. Lots to share with you on this very cold morning. I'm Ken Smith.
And I'm Laura Levine. Yes, certainly feeling for the people in Durham right now in that area. We're talking about 15 degrees in the Triangle. Meteorologist Elizabeth Garner with a look at how things are looking right now, Elizabeth.
So we have a cold weather advisory that lasts until 10 o'clock this morning for those temperatures in the teens. Once we get past 10 o'clock, we'll likely climb on up into the 20s, but that's still very, very cold. This morning, watching, of course, for any slick spots on side streets and in parking lots. And, of course, addressing the questions about whether or not we could see more wintry precipitation over the weekend. This morning, it's a medium impact drive. A lot of the roads are clear, but you could run into some icy patches. Later on today, as we get closer to lunchtime, temperatures will climb above freezing, and with plenty of sunshine, we'll continue the melting process. But there'll still probably be some slick spots again tomorrow morning. 9 degrees in Rocky Mount. That's the wind chill right now. It also feels like 8 in South Hill. Elsewhere, feeling more like the actual temperature. It does feel like 12 in Goldsboro and in Fayetteville, but the winds have calmed down just a little bit. It will be a fairly breezy day, so that wind chill effect will kick up again later on today. It's mostly dry down Salem Street in Apex right now, but the temperature is 15 degrees and will climb to 30 at lunchtime and then into the upper 30s this afternoon. Coming up in just a bit, we're going to talk about scenarios that could come together for wintry weather this weekend. Ken?
All right, happening now in the WO Traffic Center. So listen, we've been telling you all morning long that all the major routes are in really good shape, but it's those secondary roads, those neighborhood roads that can be some troubled spots this morning, and that's why we've dispatched the WRAL Storm Tracker. Let's check in with Kelsey Coffey and photographer Mark Alexic. Now you're in a neighborhood on Tryon Road. What are you seeing?
Hey, Ken, right now we're just checking out some of these side streets that are near Tryon Road. So we'll go ahead and give you a live look now at this neighborhood road. Looks like this is Southern Cross Road here, and you can see that there are definitely some slick spots in this area. Earlier this morning, we checked out some neighborhoods that are off of Falls of Noose Road and Six Forks Road. Definitely a few problematic areas in those neighborhoods. So just be careful as you are headed out the door for your morning drive in case you may hit some slick spots. But as we've been telling folks all morning long, we're really not seeing any issues on major roads or highways. It is neighborhood streets, any side roads, sidewalks, maybe the stairs outside of your home. So just be careful as you're headed out the door. Ken, what else can you tell folks today?
Well, we do have first responders working a crash on New Bern Avenue in the eastbound lane near New Hope Road. That's right near the Walmart Supercenter, if you're familiar with that particular area. We're working to find out if it's weather related, but right now we're not seeing any delays in that particular area, but just watch for some police activity if New Bern and New Hope part of your morning commute. As we widen out the view, give you a look at all the other major routes in terms of drive times coming in. We're seeing very little to no delays, a 1 minute delay if you're coming in from Garner, Johnston County on I-40 westbound, I-87 coming in from Knightdale, and our good friends in Wake Forest, you're looking at just a 1 minute delay coming into the Raleigh-Ray County area. You're getting ready to head into the car, though. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Ken, thank you. This morning, more than 600 customers are without power in southeast Durham. That's according to Duke Energy. WRAL's Ali Catlabar is there at the scene. And Ali, we're going on now 4 hours that these people are waking up without heat and freezing temperatures.
And Laura, I just checked the WRAL weather app. It says it's 16 degrees and it feels like 6 degrees in Durham. Luckily, the sun is out. But what I want to show you is what's happening right now. We have, just within the past few minutes, we've seen a Duke Energy crew, another one out here. We're up to 4 Duke Energy crews. Also, a traffic control. They have moved traffic to just down to 1 lane right here on Ellis Road. So something you need to be aware of. Now, I would show you just exactly what's happening here, what the problem is once this 18-wheeler moves. But basically, they tell me that an insulator broke and it took the utility line with it. It is now resting on the street light. And so that's just what they have to do to make that repair, make sure that power is restored to more than 650 customers. Of course, it is extremely cold, so hopefully people are staying warm, but we are keeping you updated, staying on top of this right here in Durham. Reporting live in Durham, Ali Catlabar, WRAL News.
Well, many students in our area will not be in classroom this morning, and that includes Wake County. Nearly all school districts in our area will be on remote learning today, and they're all represented in green right here on this map. Let's get to WRAL's Heidi Kirk live in downtown Raleigh. And Heidi, Wake County hasn't seen a remote learning day in like years.
Ken, that is absolutely right, but there is definitely a good reason for it today. Take a look at what we've seen all morning long on some of the sidewalks and secondary roads here in Wake County. I've been careful myself just as we've been walking along the sidewalk here because it is quite slick. Now, when it comes to that remote learning day here in Wake County, students won't be necessarily tuning into a virtual meeting or anything like that. That's what they were doing during the pandemic. But today they'll be working through a packet at home or be completing that work online. And their teachers will take attendance based on how much work that they have completed. Now, there are definitely mixed opinions about this. We talked to parents yesterday, some of which were hoping to send their students back to school today, but others are just really glad that they're taking precautions.
Yeah, I don't think there's a decision that Wake County could make that everybody's going to love. I mean, our county is huge. I mean, Cary, our roads are kind of okay. North of here, it may not be okay. So it's either do a remote day, you take a snow day, you have to make it up. You're never going to make everybody happy.
You are definitely never going to get everybody happy, and the Wake County district leaders definitely have a hard decision ahead of them. They're going to be out assessing the roads, of course, and trying to make a decision about the rest of the week. We will keep you posted with anything we hear. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And we are also checking road conditions in Durham County. Some parts of Durham dealt with slick conditions yesterday, including this part of I-85. That's where a truck jackknifed. The sunlight helped melt the sleet and ice, but areas that don't get a lot of sunlight could still be dangerous today.
The alleyway right beside our building right now has a patch of ice at the bottom of it that I think is already starting to cool back off and harden. It's going to be treacherous. Driving around town and hit several spots at the top of intersections that you need to slow down before getting to it.
So teams in Durham were focused on clearing and treating main roads yesterday. They're getting back to work this morning to begin clearing those side and secondary roads.
Also, Laura, over in Johnston County, state DOT crews say road crews have used more than 130 gallons of brine before and during the storm. They also used 600 tons of salt as the ice storm moved in. Now, crews leadership urging drivers to be cautious when driving this morning. You can, of course, count on WRAL to keep you updated on road conditions and closures and how low temperatures will fall. Stay connected with us on air, online, and of course with the WRAL News app anytime. Make sure you turn on those push notifications, though, so you can get important alerts sent directly to your phone.
The state attorney general's office is encouraging brides who did business with a Raleigh photographer to file complaints. Last week, WRAL's 5 on Your Side spoke with more than 30 brides about this. They say they paid Holly Christina Photography more than $300,000 collectively, but never received their photos. Court records show the company's co-owner and Holly Christina's husband, Christopher Eskew, was arrested on an assault charge involving his wife. The company has since closed. Now, the North Carolina Attorney's General Office says that they are urging affected brides to file a formal complaint.
Well, the Buddhist monks on their way for peace, for Walk for Peace, just over 200 miles, left on their 2,300-mile journey. They just left for Warrington about 90 minutes ago out of Wake Forest. They headed from Fourth Ward, Texas to Washington, D.C. The monks say they will not be sharing their lunch and rest stops to locations today. They say due to the cold temperatures, they want everyone to stay safe and stay warm at home. Well, the monks are headed to D.C., as I just mentioned. They're expected to get there in a couple of weeks. We'll keep updating you on their journey here on WRAL and Fox 50. We'll also share updates on WRAL.com and our social media platforms.
Now to new developments this morning in Minnesota. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino and some of his agents are expected to leave Minneapolis today. And Border Czar Tom Homan is now expected to head to Minnesota. Bovino has become a prominent figure in Homeland Security's immigration crackdown. He has recently drawn scrutiny after 2 deadly shootings involving federal agents, most recently involving Alex Preddy. Homeland Security says Preddy approached officers with a handgun as they were conducting an operation. They say they shot him in self-defense. A video shows Preddy with a phone in his hand as agents wrestled him to the ground. Video also appears to show a gun being removed from his waistband before the shooting happened. He was a licensed gun owner.
Well, people gathered outside Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar's office yesterday to protest a bill that would increase funding for DHS. Senate Democrats, including Klobuchar, say they would not vote to pass a $64 billion bill. They're asking Republicans to remove it from a broader package to fund other government programs through September 30th. Also, the current funding is set to expire after midnight Friday.
This morning, we are learning ICE agents will have a security role during the Milan-Cortina Winter Games. Sources from the U.S. Embassy in Rome tell the Associated Press the agents will help with diplomatic security details. They say they will not run any enforcement operations. During previous Olympics, several federal agencies have supported the security of U.S. officials. This comes, of course, after DHS confirmed yesterday that ICE would have agents at Super Bowl 60 in California.
Turning to basketball, Duke men's basketball team perfect in the ACC after defeating Louisville. The Blue Devils held the Cardinals to just 28 points in the first half. The fourth-ranked Blue Devils went on to beat the 20th-ranked Cardinals 83-52. Duke's next game is at Virginia Tech Saturday. Well, tonight, NC State is hosting ACC foe Syracuse. Tip-off for that game is at 7 o'clock at Lenovo Center.
Exploding trees. That's what's trending on TikTok right now because of the cold. Well, that's not exactly what's going on, but something is happening. We'll show you what it is and what it could sound like in the bitter cold coming up in a few minutes.
Can't wait to hear that. And walking through the challenge, how one family's birthing plans change because of the weekend's winter weather.
Heading to break, it's one of the coldest mornings of the season. There's more to come. There's a live look over Lake Gaston this morning. Head meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner explaining how many mornings our temperatures will be in the teens and when winter weather reappears in the forecast.
8:45, and look at these temperatures, 15 in Durham and Raleigh, lots and lots of sunshine, but Fayetteville's checking in at 19, and that's not even the wind chill that goes along with it. Let's take a look at the wind chill. That's on the box on the right, and fortunately, it's not windy everywhere, but it is in Rocky Mount. It feels like 9 in Rocky Mount, it feels like 8 in South Hill, and 11 in Roxborough, feels like 12 in Fayetteville, feels like 12 in Goldsboro. So it's very cold out there. That's why we had a cold weather advisory in effect, and that's in effect for a little over 1 more hour. Temperatures are going to be chilly this afternoon. We'll see a high of 39 in Raleigh and Benson, 40 in Fayetteville, 35 in Roxborough, 35 in Roanoke Rapids. So be prepared for the cold temperatures, not just today, but I'll show you why they could stick around all week and into the weekend. Ken?
All right, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. It's been a rather quiet start to the morning commute, short of first responders working this crash on New Bern Avenue in the eastbound lane, heading away from Raleigh this morning at New Hope Road. It's right near the Walmart Supercenter. We're not seeing any delays in the particular area, but just watch for some police activity if New Bern Avenue around New Hope Road is part of your morning commute. But as we widen out the view, very little to no delays on all of our major routes. You're coming in from Durham, Apex, Wake Forest, just short of a 1-minute delay coming in from Knightdale, relatively delay-free at this hour. You're getting ready to head into the car, though. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
The Bangor International Airport in Maine is shut down after a plane carrying 6 people crashed. Local officials say all the people on board died. This crash happened on Sunday when a private business jet attempted to take off as a winter storm passed through the area. The NTSB and FAA are investigating what led to the crash. Weather may have played a role, but officials say mechanical error and pilot error will also be investigated. Well, happening today, a trial begins for 3 of the biggest names in social media. We're talking about TikTok, Meta, and YouTube that will defend their impact on young people. A mother and her daughter sued the companies, accusing them of having harmful features that damage teen mental health. The companies say they've addressed those concerns with new safety policies. There are more than 1,000 other similar cases.
Well, the winter storm caused natural gas prices to skyrocket. They've risen about 63% since last week. That's the most since December. The extreme cold is not only driving up demand, but could disrupt gas flow through pipelines and deplete stockpiles. The demand could also derail production at key hubs all across the country. A Durham City County celebration honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. will not happen today as planned. Event organizers postponed it because of the hazardous weather conditions. The event will now happen on February 24th. North Carolina Central Chancellor Kerry Dixon will deliver the keynote address. The event will be free and open to the public.
The winter storm forced a Charlotte couple expecting a baby to change their plans. Listen to this. Shelby Montez was set to give birth on Sunday, but because of the icy conditions on the road, she and her husband David didn't want to risk their safety. Understandable. So instead of driving, they booked a hotel less than a mile from the hospital and walked there.
It's been easy because ultimately we want to prioritize her safety and the safety of the baby. So whatever we needed to do to be able to get to the hospital today is what we did.
Well, the couple said that they were considering naming the baby Fern, which was the name the Weather Channel gave the storm.
Well, you might be scrolling through social media and see the claim of exploding trees in the cold. Is that really happening, though? Let's get to meteorologist Chris Michaels showing us why they crack under pressure, but we don't even want to use the word explode.
No, probably not. And you know what's funny is I've had friends actually reaching out to me being like, okay, what's going on? Trees explode now? Not necessarily, all right? So yes, very cold across much of the country. Wind chills as much as 20 below zero in Minnesota and North Dakota, and it's downright cold here as well. So you get that Arctic cold coming in. Any water in the tree freezes, it expands, and that causes additional pressure on the bark and on the wood, so it cracks and splits. It doesn't explode into shards or anything like that, but under certain circumstances, it could actually sound like a gunshot. Now, that's going to be farther to the north where the cold is a lot more extreme. It's not dangerous, it's just odd. One thing we're noticing around here, though, that's not related to the trees, it's actually our lakes and ponds starting to freeze over, and we're going to see that happen more and more as we go throughout the week. Thanks to David, by the way, out of Lake Gaston for that shot. So please stay off of those lakes and ponds. It's not like we live in the north and the ice is thick enough. But it is cold enough, Elizabeth, and that advisory sticking around for about another hour.
It is. That's why we have our cold weather advisory. And it is, again, as you said, for just about another hour or so. Temperatures are mostly in the teens. A lot of times we gauge the cold weather by our Fountain Mountain right in front of WRAL. And it's definitely been stacking up. And as long as they leave that fountain on, it could be pretty tall by the time we get to the weekend. But you definitely want to make sure that your kids understand that in no way, shape, or form are they ever safe stepping on ice in our area. Nowhere, no matter how long it is cold. In Durham, there is still some ice on the sidewalks right here in front of the DPAC. The roads are mostly clear. Ken, of course, has been talking about roads this morning, and as far as I can tell, everything has been pretty smooth sailing this morning. 15 degrees, though, and we don't climb above freezing until early afternoon, until around 1 o'clock or so. So again, keep your eye out for those slick spots on the roads. There probably won't be a lot, but you hit one of them and it can make for a bad day. Cold weather advisory almost over, and we're going to talk just briefly about the setup that we could see for some possible winter weather over the weekend. It is going to become breezier this afternoon, gusts about 15 to 20 miles per hour. That's going to make it feel even colder. Right now, we're looking at a wind chill only in a few places. The wind's not too strong yet. The wind chill is in the white box on the right, so 9 is what it feels like in Rocky Mount, 8 in South Hill, and 11 up around Roxborough. This is a look at wind chill through the day, and we're looking at lunchtime wind chill about 23, and then at the warmest part of the day this afternoon, it'll feel like 30 or 31. So what is this wind chill? Well, what happens is your skin releases heat all the time, and some of it just sits right above your skin. But when the wind blows, it blows that sort of insulating blanket of heat off your skin, and it makes it feel colder than it actually is. So that's why we talk about wind chills, what you should dress for. 32 is our normal low. We're at 20 for the next couple of mornings, and then back into the teens for the weekend. So lots of cold air in place, ready for the chance of wintry weather. Our normal high is 52. We're in the 30s all the way up until Friday. We get closer to freezing, and then in the 20s on Saturday. Of course, we missed it just by a little bit. We had a lot of sleet and definitely some icing from our storm last weekend. But boy, just to the west on the other side of the mountains, a lot of Tennessee was hit very hard. An interstate sign fell on a semi-truck there in Nashville due to the winter storm. We have no idea what's going to happen here yet. We're going to watch the storm developing. We'll see what the model says as we get a little closer. Saturday and Sunday, we have it under yellow for the possibility of a winter storm. Here's why. It's just going to take some time to know what is going to happen. Once a storm develops, we'll have a lot more views from the models about what it may do. We have the potential for there to be some snow, but a lot of that will depend on the track. If it's too far offshore, we get nothing. If it's too far inland, we get a wintry mix. So trust me, we'll keep our eye on it. Notice how our temperatures really drop as we get closer to the weekend.
And before we go to break, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers. We'll get another check on weather and traffic up next.